7 o'clock in the evening in Gardner, Kansas. I will call the Gardner City Council meeting to order. Will you please rise if you can? Join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have a proclamation on the agenda for today. Oh, yes. All right. So as some of you may or may not know, in the next 2 weeks we will be celebrating the 234th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. I'm sorry, of the Constitution, not the Declaration. That's July 4th. My apologies. I'm going to go through the proclamation, and then I'm going to ask Mary Foley from the Daughters of the American Revolution to come up to accept the proclamation. Whereas September 17, 2021 marks the 234th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and to its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th to the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore be resolved that I, Steve Shute, Mayor of the City of Gardner, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th to the 23rd, 2021 be designated, Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this document and guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. So, Mary, are you here to accept? Great.
I'm going to take a picture.
Okay. Thanks, Tori.
She's DAR.
Yes.
Okay, good.
This is special for Tori because she's a member of the DAR as well. So.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. Thanks.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is a Gardner golf course update. I believe that we have Mark Mallory here from Gardner Golf Course to speak on the improvements that have been taking place at the golf course, and I believe you also had besides a little presentation, also had an invitation. So, Mr. Mallory.
Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, we have a 2-minute video.
Minute video.
1 minute video, some before, some during, and some after.
Great.
Construction. Little background, I believe we took over in spring of 2018 with a golf course that was in disrepair. I think everybody knows that. The first year was the installation of the brand new irrigation system. We thought that was vital to the success of the golf course, and it truly has been. Rounds were down. We had a hard time getting people back. The whole year, we were watering off a fire hydrant for about 6 weeks. I mean, we literally in the middle of summer had 10 green circles where the greens were and everything else was basically dead. Did a lot of reseeding that fall. Got a really good stand. More and more people started showing up. 2019 was the true construction of it. Built a new green. We leveled all the tee boxes. Installed zoysia sod on all the tee boxes. Strip zoysia into the fairways. We knew that would be a 2 or 3 year process to become 100%. And right now, I would say we are at least 85 to 90% zoysia fairways all the way around. I mean, it was a really good year for zoysia this year to spread. So real happy with that progress. Next year they will be 100%. Play was pretty. In 2018, our rounds to date were right around 5,000 to 5,500 rounds. During the construction of 2019, we upped that to 7,500 rounds. And during construction, that's probably pretty good because, I mean, we had construction on virtually every hole all the time. We completed the construction basically at the end of August 2019. And then we kind of were able to take a little bit of a deep breath and just start maintaining a golf course, not be under construction all the time. 2020 obviously was the COVID year. COVID was fantastic for golf all the way around. It was needed in the whole area. Had a huge year last year with COVID. We jumped from 7,500 rounds in 2019 to over 15,000 rounds in 2020, which on a nine-hole course, that's a lot of rounds. You can ask our general manager, Mark Peck. I mean, he's been fantastic. I think he was a little overwhelmed with the amount of play we were getting. And it's hard to say that we just don't hear we'd have very few negative comments about the golf course. I think most people have seen where it was at. It's not where we want it to be yet, but people understand the progress of where we're going. Each fall we've done overseeding, trying to get all the bare areas, with grass on them. We have a fantastic superintendent in place right now that, he cares about that golf course. He really understands my vision for the golf course. Like I said, 2020 was right around 15,000 rounds. We're on pace right now to just beat that. We'll be at 16 to 17,000 rounds at the end of this year. So we're really pleased with that on a 9-hole golf course. Some of the improvements that the improvements I talked about already was with the blessing and the financial backing of the city council. We've built a few new tee boxes. We've improved the clubhouse with some new flooring, new paint. Gave it as much of a facelift as you can get the building that is right now. I think several of you have been out there to see it. Cleared a massive amount of trees, to help airflow through the golf course. Cleaned up the shop area, just kind of, putting just a little bit of curb appeal to the place. And like I said, we think it looks pretty good now. We're happy where it is. We're still striving for better, but that's kind of where we're at right now. I think I don't know if he's got a video playing right now.
Or you want to go through the list of things for the video first?
Okay.
Well, I'm asking.
Oh, that's fine. Any questions or?
This is Mike Mowry right here, by the way. That's Mike Mowry, and there's Mark Mowry.
So, Mayor, Mike asked if there was any questions. Would you indulge? Just one?
Let them finish the
Oh,
presentation.
okay.
Okay.
I was asking. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we've been dealing with on some of the old oil wells and the old power lines to the oil wells. We've been working with Jason a little bit on that, trying to get those try to get those capped off and the power lines that run across, I think, 3 or 4 of the fairways. See if we can get those taken down. Trying to think.
Tee boxes.
Yeah, we've built 2 new tee boxes on 5 and 7. I think the main complaint we get right now are the cart paths. They are, and we've tried to, we brought in rock and brought in some other things, but that's our main complaint right now is the cart paths, all the way around them, which, we just kind of keep them passable, keep the potholes out of them, but as far as complaint wise, that is our main complaint.
You want the video now?
That'll be fine. employees Jacob for doing that. He did a really nice job for us. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
You stated, Councilman, you wanted to ask a couple questions?
Yeah, and thank you, Mayor. Mike, first, appreciate the video, appreciate you guys coming up. I love seeing all the golfers in the peanut gallery. I think that's awesome. And your numbers are pretty incredible as well. And I'm glad COVID was good for something.
It was good for something, yeah.
So I've got two questions, and I'll start with the simple one and it's more a question for maybe staff or Jim. What opportunity would we have, and if there is any for that matter, asphalt from our street sides and curb project? Is there any asphalt left over from those projects that we could get over to the golf course for cart paths? And I'm just kind of thinking out of the box.
We contract those. Kellen, do you have any input on that?
Yeah, so we contract the asphalt. There wouldn't be any spare at this point.
Fair enough. Just a
Yeah,
question.
We pay for what we use.
Okay. And then the next question I had, which is the last one, kind of looking ahead, we've got, I don't know, 5 or 6 years left in the agreement between the city and Great Life. Have we maybe considered doing some visioning meetings or anything like that to kind of talk about the back nine and clubhouse and kind of what those next big steps are?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I can't show up at the golf course and not be asked about the back nine. It's just that I know it's coming. I know it's whether I stop there once a week or every day in a week. I get that question is, can we get the back nine open? Can we get that back nine open? I'm like, I tell them it's just a process. I mean, we had to come in and prove ourselves a little bit. You guys kind of took a leap of faith with us, with Great Life, and I'll be honest, when we were going through that whole situation, I'm like, they're never going to go for this. They're never going to, but I kept pushing along, and I knew what we could provide. I knew what we could provide the community. The community's been a great backing for us. I mean, they've really backed us, and especially those first few years when we were trying to get golfers out of Kansas City, and now, I mean, we use something called Golf Now, for our tee time bookings, and I mean, we got people coming from Olathe, Shawnee, Lenexa over the park, even over into Lee Summit, constantly coming over to play the Gardner golf course, which says something. It really does.
Yeah, Mike, and I think, I hear that a lot as well on opening the back nine. And my thoughts when we were discussing this originally was let's get at least that nine open, like you said.
Yep.
Let's see how it goes.
Yep.
It's providing amenity. But in the back of my mind, I thought, eventually, I think we're going to probably
Sure.
have to look at that back nine. And it sounds like you guys are busting at the seams. I mean, you try to do tournaments out there. I'm sure that's not easy. Only got nine.
The tournaments are really hard because we have to shut down and give up our tee times and our everyday play money wise, so we have to make a certain amount of money to be able to, and then most of these tournaments are for fundraisers, so you want them to make as much money as you can, but also most time they want a Friday or Saturday, so that's your prime days of making money.
Yeah, last year we did 3 tournaments. Obviously, we did one here for the Chamber, and then we did one for the Legion, and then we had a JV boys high school tournament. Came out there, and it only took in the morning, but we try to give back to the community as far as that goes.
Yeah. How many high schools?
We do have
3.
Yeah.
We have 3 high schools that participate at
on and off, yeah.
Gardner, obviously Gardner, and then Olathe East and Olathe
Well,
North.
it's actually Olathe North.
Olathe, okay.
And then we actually had some kids coming from Wellsville.
Okay.
And then we had for a while, we had Olathe East. Everybody's desperate for courses from the high schools.
Yeah.
We can only put so many people out on the course. That's one of our problems, being a 9-hole
Yeah.
course.
So, yeah.
Well, I'll finish up.
Yeah.
But I think, getting the 9 in, I think you've got the backbone there, and I think you've got the irrigation established.
Yeah.
I think a big chunk of it is done. I would assume it's less expensive, somewhat less involved to get that back 9 open.
Well, I think we need to, like Randy was saying, we need to maybe get together with Jason and get together with one of the city administrators and what vision do we have? Do we want to make it similar style to the front nine? Do we want to make it, you know, a little bit more grand than the front nine? You know, that's whatever vision the city's looking at. You know,
And the pipe from the lake.
yeah, I mean, we'll have to do, yeah, that'll come with the irrigation. Right now, we don't have enough, we can't get enough water from the lake to the pond to be able to water 18 holes. It barely keeps up with 9 holes, but like I said, I think we just need to maybe, the first step is, you know, figuring out what that vision is. I mean, do we want to, you know, do we want to add a clubhouse with it? Do we want to add, you know, fitness with it eventually? I mean, we're Great Life Golf and fitness. I mean, do we want to put a fitness center out there? You know, and some of that stuff would have to be partnership with the city, not just a lease.
So I've had some discussions with you, Mike, and also with our resident ambassador,
Jim Dean, yep.
Good seeing you, Jim. And one of the things we did talk about was, okay, if we're gonna do the 18, we're gonna have to bring more of a broad community focus to the golf course. Which
Right.
would mean a new clubhouse with some event space.
Yeah.
Entertainment, and fitness, obviously, but also, you know, those other amenities that would be befitting a course that would be used by the whole community.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, right now we're with the style golf course we're at. I mean, we'll be topped out green fee wise in that $30 to $35 range. You know, so there's only so much, you know, money you can make to, you know, with that style golf course compared to, you know, just a matter of what that vision wants to be with the city. I mean, are we wanting to kind of be our own little golf course itself, or do we want to compete with Falcon Ridge and some of these other higher end golf courses? I mean, whatever vision that is.
And I don't think we want to do that.
Yeah, I don't think so
I
either.
think we
Yeah,
want to stay a municipal golf.
right. Absolutely. No, I've always said we want to say municipal. We want to say open green fees for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
But bringing the meeting space specifically.
Yep. Yep.
Great for this community.
Yep. You know, and it probably makes, you know, moving forward, probably makes a little bit of sense to, you know, possibly bring an architect in and look over the property and, you know, see what's there and what space can be utilized. And, you know, in the back of my head, I've always had a junior golf course, 3 or 4 hole junior golf course in the back of my head. Sort of, there's a place called Harris Park in Kansas City, Missouri. I don't know exactly know the whole story. We did some work over there, but they have synthetic turf tees and synthetic turf greens, and every hole, none of the holes is over like 100, 120 yards, but it's free to kids.
Yeah.
You know, and that's always been kind of a vision of mine. You know, and there's, you know, I've always had visions in my head of the golf course where that could go, but, you know, if you did truly bring an architect in and you spend a little bit of money, you know, to figure out what's best with that piece of property.
Would Great Life be open to the possibility of having like programming opportunities along with Parks and Rec, for example? We might be able to use some of the meeting space over there for programs or things like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Youth academies.
We had a hugely successful junior golf program this summer. It was a huge success. So, yeah, like I said, anything you can do to get more golfers playing golf and younger golfers playing golf. I mean, I'm not saying about Jim Dean, but we need some younger golfers. I mean, we just do. You know, and it really is cool. We have seen a lot of younger couples out. You know, we've seen a lot of younger couples out, and that's a great sign. It really is of, you know, the future. So,
I'm not a golfer, but I did take a tour that we went out.
Yep.
The golf course is amazing. I think you've done a lot of work. I too get lots of questions about when are we opening the back
Yep.
nine? What are we
Yep.
doing? We want the back nine. So I would be in favor of like a visioning or something so we could kind of
Some
get a
point.
plan of what we want to do and what we can afford to do, et cetera, or at what cost, whatever.
and we would love to schedule a site visit with you guys. The last time we were there, it was cold. It was
Last October.
yeah, it was cold. I can't remember when it was. But it was cold. It was, you know, the golf course wasn't in the best of shape. I mean, it's pretty good right now. I mean, it's you know, especially for the amount of play that place gets. I mean, in the tee boxes they get beat on. I mean, it's in pretty good shape. So
Let's see if we can get something scheduled with city administrator and with the city clerk and see if we can get people scheduled.
sounds great.
We'd love to have
For the visioning.
absolutely. And also
Yeah.
for the visit.
Yeah.
Vision and the visit, yeah.
Who,
I'm more interested.
who should I just get in touch with Jason or?
Yeah, Jason and/or Sharon.
Okay, okay, sounds great.
And did you guys have anything else you wanted to add? I know you played the course, Mark.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it sounds like we need to have work sessions, so.
Yeah, just
Same-
get the ball
same
rolling,
thing in line.
see where everybody has this different vision. I mean, they really do. And like I said, it's such a great piece of property that it's, I mean, it's a fantastic place. It really is.
Presentation in case anybody, maybe council wants it, right?
Yeah, so I shared the presentation with the city of Gardner, so if anyone in the council wants to review it or look over it, any of the data, the videos, pictures, anything
Wonderful.
you want to know is in their presentation.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Mike, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Feel free to come over anytime.
Okay.
I mean, Jim asked me if I would give you guys some time to
Yep.
speak. I'm like, you guys can come
Yep.
anytime.
Sounds great. And like I said, we do appreciate the leap of faith you guys took with us. I mean, it was no small thing, and you guys had to answer to a lot of people. I mean, to spend that amount of money on that golf course, and kind of on a leap of faith that we'll give you a nice product. And like I said, we do truly appreciate it. 4 years later.
We saw it as an investment, and we're happy that we have a good investment partner.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. Move on to public hearing. We have one public hearing on the agenda for this evening, and it has to do with amendments to the fiscal year 2021 budget. Actually, we have 3 public hearings. The first one is for the amendments, and then I've got 2 more after that. So my apologies. They usually don't split them up like this, so sorry about that. I will entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Baldwin, second Winters, that we open a public hearing to receive public input regarding the amendments to the fiscal year 2021 budget. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, any abstentions? Public hearing is now open. If you wish to come forward, speak your name and address into the microphone clearly so we can all hear it. There's a clock on my right, your left. It's a 5-minute time limit. If you wish to speak, just keep your comments within those 5 minutes. No profanity, no personal attacks. With that being said, the podium is now open. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Deaton, second Baldwin, that we close the public hearing. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, any abstentions? Public hearing is now closed. New business item number 1, consider adopting an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2021 budget. Matt Wolf, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. The governing body adopted the fiscal year 2021 budget back in August 17th of 2020. The governing body's approval of the annual budget sets the expenditure authority for the city's various funds for that budget year. In order to avoid a potential budget violation for the fiscal year 2021 budget, a housekeeping or technical budget amendment is needed to increase the expenditure authority for the Main Street Marketplace Community Improvement District CID fund. In compliance with KSA 792929A, the proposed increase shall be balanced by previously unbudgeted revenues and revenue other than ad valorem property tax. The Main Street Marketplace CID fund is funded from CID sales tax generated by the Main Street Marketplace CID. There is no additional mill levy associated with this budget amendment. In summary, the cause of this housekeeping or technical amendment is a carryover of CID sales tax that was generated in 2020 and the need to increase budget authority in 2021 to be able to spend the funds. Per the development agreement the city has with the developer, the funds will be used to reimburse the developer for eligible project costs and city for administrative costs. It is staff's recommendation that you adopt the proposed ordinance.
Great, thanks a lot, Matt. Any public, we don't have public comments, we already had a public hearing. Any questions for Matt on the amendments to the budget? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on ordinance number 2717.
So moved. Second.
Motion Deaton, second Winters, that we adopt ordinance number 2717, an ordinance amending the 2021 budget of the city of Gardner, Kansas. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember
Yes.
Councilmember Deaton,
Yes.
Councilmember Winters,
Yes.
Ordinance number 2717 passes. Moving on to public hearing number 2. May I entertain a motion on opening the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Third.
Motion Gregorczyk, second Deaton. That we open a public hearing to receive public input regarding the city's intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, any abstentions? The public hearing is now in session. If you wish to come forward, speak your name and address into the record. Same rules apply. All right, I do not see anyone coming forward, so I'm going to go on and read one email into the public record. It says, Mayor and Council, I'm writing this email to you with questions and concerns I have regarding new business item number 2 and following public hearing to increase the revenue net to a neutral rate for the 2022 budget. Without more specific information, what basis for comments does the public have to make? Realizing more information will come in just prior to discussion, amending the 2021 budget this evening really doesn't allow for much time for the tax-paying citizen to digest the information and make a comment either for or against new business item number 2. With limited information supplied to date, perhaps priority-based budgeting is causing the lack of clear numbers. Personally, I find it to be another method to fund the city using citizen tax dollars. This is an especially jagged pill to swallow with the tax credit and other funding handouts given to developers recently. I appreciate your time and consideration on this important item this evening. Please remember the impacts this will have to the tax-paying citizens of Gardner. Sincerely, Adriana Metter. No one else coming forward, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Deaton, second Winters, that we close the public hearing. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, any abstentions? Public hearing is now closed. New business item number 2, consider adopting a resolution for the city of Gardner, Kansas to exceed the revenue neutral rate for the fiscal year 2022 budget. Matt Wolf.
Senate Bill 13 established new notification and public hearing requirements if the proposed budget will exceed the revenue neutral property tax rate. The revenue neutral rate is the mill levy required to raise the same amount of property tax as the prior year using current year assessed valuation estimates. The Johnson County Clerk calculated Gardner's revenue neutral rate for fiscal year 2022 as 19.278. Staff originally proposed a budget that was based on a flat mill levy of 20.665. After several meetings and at a budget work session in August, Council weighed those different options from both staff and from the constituents that they've talked to, and we've rebuilt the budget with a half mil decrease, so it will be a 20.165 proposed mill rate, which still exceeds the revenue neutral rate, but it is lower than the prior year. In compliance with Senate Bill 13 and House Bill 2104, the city published a notice of public hearing to consider exceeding the revenue neutral rate in the August 24th edition of the legal record. The notice of hearing was also published on the city's website on August 24th. Also on August 24th, we published the entire budget book and all of its detail and all its line items in the CIP for people to review. It is staff's recommendation that you adopt the proposed resolution.
Great, thanks, Matt. Any other questions for Matt on the fiscal year 2022 resolution?
I have one
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Thank you, Matt, for your explanation. And I don't think I'm far off base. If I am, we can table it. But I wanted to visit about the VERF a little bit more, because I looked at it after you guys presented it, and I just couldn't quite figure out the total cost and kind of what operationally the mechanism that it's playing. And I apologize for catching you off guard here.
Yeah, Kellen, you want to walk through that process? Kellen's taking charge of the vehicle, stuff outside of the PD and utilities.
Yeah, so the VERF fund itself, the proposed dollar amount is essentially the total replacement or the yearly replacement cost of the city's vehicles and equipment that fall under what we would aim to centralize. Obviously not the electric utility vehicles or the police department. So it essentially covers all other vehicles and equipment that the city owns. So the city owns approximately $3.8 million worth of vehicles and equipment. When you take the total value, the life expectancy of those types of vehicles, and the intended replacement timeframes, most of them vary between, I think, 7 to 15 years would be the optimal replacement times. Calculate that all out, and you get a yearly cost that would replace every vehicle and piece of equipment that we own under that program at its optimal point of replacement. And that's what that dollar value is.
So is the dollar value incurred year over year, understanding that that target, as you said, was 7 to 15 years?
Yeah, so every vehicle or piece of equipment would be replaced at its optimal time frame, and all of that would add up across the total life expectancy of each piece of equipment and vehicle. So every vehicle is essentially, it pays for itself over time through the VERF.
Okay, and what is the total of the VERF, the cost?
Give me a second. We're showing basically annual transfers into the VERF fund of totaling about $389,400 per year.
So 300, almost 400,000 in the first year. And would it be a flatline price? Because things go up, so I would
That's
expect
how-
that to grow a little bit each year?
That's how it's built in the first 2 years, but I think we're still working on basically how we're implementing the program, and we're going to come back before we spend anything, and we'll go over those details and make sure you agree with the assumptions as well.
So the VERF is costing us, rough numbers, about 1.25 mils, somewhere around there.
That's close, yeah,
Okay.
that's close.
We got it down to a half a mil in reduction from 2020 to the revenue neutral recommendation.
It's above the revenue neutral, but yes, it's down
But it's
from
still,
a flat.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're still going up about 6% based on revenues.
Please keep in mind, it's not all property tax. I mean, there's transfers in from water, wastewater, utility billing. There's a lot of different funds that are involved in this.
Absolutely. So the whole point of the VERF is to try to get a handle on our regular maintenance and stay ahead of the curve so we don't end up falling behind. That's the whole point, and I think you understand that.
No, I absolutely do, Mayor. I just thought for some reason we already had a similar program in place.
For police, yes.
And maybe that's what I'm,
Yeah, for police, we've had it for
Crossing
about
my
7
wires.
years. But we haven't had anything on that for the non-police or utility vehicles. Utilities typically taking care of their own vehicle replacements, and then all the others have just been kind of catch-as-catch-can, particularly public works. That's been the biggest, and to a certain extent, Parks and Rec.
and Jim or Kellen, entertain me for just a minute, but, so the dump truck that the dump part of the truck that we replaced would come out of VERF as an example?
Yes.
Correct. Yeah, so ancillary equipment that would be assigned to various vehicles is included in that cost. The equipment itself is actually on a different replacement cycle than the vehicle, but it's all accounted for.
And this is cross-pollinated with whatever our preventative maintenance plan is?
Yes.
To be able to see that somewhat in a proactive way, whether it be mileage or usage or condition of?
Yes.
Correct.
And this is a number that we will look at every year and adjust accordingly. It's a fluid number.
Correct. It'll
Correct.
be reviewed annually based on new acquisitions and the total value of the vehicles across the fleet. And so the number will change year to year.
We will be augmenting our vehicles and equipment as we grow. That's just going to be a fact of life. We might need to add another dump truck, for example.
So essentially, we would see 3 line items. We would see electric, which is financed through electric.
Right.
We would see a police cruiser line.
Yep.
And then we would see kind of all other vehicles. Or
Yes.
all other city vehicles.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
And it makes sense because electric fund obviously funds the electrical operations.
Well, they have such a long lead time. Sorry to interrupt you.
No?
Yeah.
Just to get a little bit technical, we do have governmental funds and enterprise funds. So while we run it through the VERF, so we're accounting for everything and essentially managing there, for accounting purposes, we'd probably show it as a transfer also back to the utility and then the expense out of the utility. I just want to be clear that technically there'll be multiple line items, but that's just for accounting
It's
purposes.
considered a shared service fund, similar to IT or other
have no other questions, I just wanted to
Okay.
clarify, I don't know if
No.
Mark or anybody else does.
On that particular line item, I think it's good that we are being proactive and putting a number out there and knowing it will change. And then I guess the one thing that you're still working on the program, but the one thing that I think would be key is when we're evaluating condition, mileage, et cetera, right? You gotta have a plan based off optimal. But if we can delay something 2 years and it's not an issue for service and that saves us dollars in those years, that's great, right? So that's the piece I just want to follow up on.
So you're talking about ongoing maintenance and examinations, inspections, and if we can get more out of a vehicle.
Right, just because it says it's 7 years, but it goes 9 because we didn't use it as much, great.
Right, the average year of replacement for a vehicle is primarily a place for us to start really looking at it hard for replacement. If it is still in good shape and can stretch, we'll typically do that. And you always get a vehicle or two that needs to be replaced early just based on, sometimes you get a lemon, so.
Last question is,
Yeah.
same topic. Kellen, are we using some sort of Maximo system for preventive maintenance, or is this just paper and pencil type stuff?
So right now, we've started moving it into, I believe Lucity is the way we're doing it right now. There's work to be done on that side of it, and that's the next piece of my focus.
Fair enough, because that'll help us even more to have some sort of AI helping us take a look at all that. So,
Nope,
okay,
totally agree.
that's all I had. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion on resolution number 2092.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Winters, second Deaton, that we adopt resolution number 2092, a resolution levying property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate for the city of Gardner, Kansas. City clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Deaton, Yes. Councilmember Winters,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Councilmember Gregorczyk,
Yes.
All right, resolution number 2092 passes. Public hearing number 3, to receive public input regarding the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget. I'd like to entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Baldwin, second Deaton, that we open a public hearing to receive public input regarding the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed, any abstentions? The public hearing is now open. If you please wish to comment, come forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one coming forward, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Gregorczyk, second Baldwin, that we close the public hearing. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed, any abstentions? Public hearing is now closed. New business item number 3, consider adopting an ordinance adopting the fiscal year 2022 budget. Mr. Wolf, this is your last item, and you'll have a chance to sit down for a while.
Although the city prepared the revised biennial budget for fiscal year 2021 and 2022, Kansas law requires annual budget approval. On September 7th, the statutorily required budget hearing for the fiscal year 2022 budget was held in compliance with KSA 79-2929. The 2022 budget is structurally sound as represented by adequate reserves in both the tax levy funds and utility funds at the end of the year 2022. Projected end of year 2022 general fund balance is 37%. And please note that we are running a small kind of operational deficit that's intentional, similar to what we have done in the past to spend down that fund balance over time. And part of that plan includes there is a half mill levy decrease compared to 2021 mill levy rate. The estimated fiscal year 2022 mill levy is 20.165. The budget provides for continued investment in infrastructure to improve quality of life for residents and support community growth. It includes funding for 6.5 new FTEs to help maintain vital public services as the community continues to grow, both in terms of volume and complexity. The budget includes a planned water rate increase of 3.7% in 2021 to help support debt service payments for the water treatment plant expansion project. And there are no planned rate increases for electric or wastewater utilities. It is staff's recommendation that you adopt the proposed ordinance.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt. Any questions or comments regarding the fiscal year 2022 budget?
I'll just say I spent a lot of time with this book.
Keep
And
it under your pillow and talk to it at night.
I fell asleep to it a few times.
Awesome.
And I will say that Matt's been great, and Jim, I have had several questions, and we met and went over some things. If you recall, during our work session, I wanted to know what the actual number was if we spent down to 30% in 2022, and that is, I could be wrong, but 18.165. The problem with it, once you start looking into it deeply, is that we would have to yo-yo it right back in a year or two. So I don't think that's in our best interest, but I wanted to let you know that we finished digging into that. Thank you to Matt.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm saying that I am not complaining anymore.
Enthusiastically supports.
He'll live with it. Anyone else?
Yeah, and thanks, Matt, for the email to Mark's point, so appreciate it. Shed some light on it that I, quite frankly, wasn't putting two to two together. So I'm glad that we're able to reduce the mill by a half and kind of flatline our costs moving forward with respects to increasing mills. So, thank you.
And I'll just kind of wrap this up by commending Matt and the staff. Laura Gorley used to say she used to have to pull some rabbits out of hats and skin a few in order to be able to get to the budget numbers. You guys either picked up her habits of skinning rabbits, or you've gotten really, really good at her tutelage. But
She's trained us well.
it's trained you guys well, exactly. So with all the GFOA awards you've gotten, it just continues to reinforce what we know already, which is you guys are some of the best folks in the metro, and the most transparent too. If you look at our budget books, they are very detailed and very much to the line item level on these expenses. So we've been able to balance the revenue, the priority-based budgeting side, but also give them the hard numbers. So I want to say on behalf of the governing body, good job. Job well done.
Thank you for the kind comments, and I'll pass them on to my staff.
Absolutely.
I have one
Yes.
clarifying question. So passing this doesn't change I know at the last meeting we discussed needing to relook at pay scale. We can still look at that, add it in if needed.
We're gonna look at, we're in the process of doing that now.
Yeah, we're doing our salary surveys, I believe. Amy, you're doing some of that work. And we're looking forward to seeing the results of that. To do amendments potentially. Yes, Mark.
So, I know, I couldn't go. Because these are great placeholders, I'm not going to cause any problems for Matt tonight, or the rest of you. But seeing as we'll have conversations on that, I would really like to see in the next 6 months us start the rate study on electric.
Yes, absolutely.
that was already underway.
We have not done that yet.
And I would love to accelerate that as fast as possible so that at this time next year, we can be discussing what we want to do with that.
Correct. Because,
which-
I mean, we had one in 2018, but it's already obsolete, so,
Well, it always is.
yeah.
I just know that, that's, as we continue to raise water rates and knowing that wastewater is going to be a big pill to swallow,
Yes, it will.
the fact that we're overcharging for electric, we can give everybody a reprieve on that soon. That would be great.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about pilot with you.
Glad you guys are separated. Absolutely. This isn't 2010 when we had things happening on the dais. Anyway, let's move forward. All right. Well, I will entertain a motion then on ordinance number 2718.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Winter, second Deaton, that we adopt ordinance number 2718, an ordinance adopting the 2022 budget of the city of Gardner, Kansas. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Deaton? Yes.
Councilmember Roberts? Yes. Councilmember Winters?
Yes.
Councilmember Gogorsek?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Ordinance number 2718 passes. Excellent work, staff. Thank you again. All right, moving on to public comments. Public comments at 7:45. Been a long meeting already. Members of the public are welcome to use this time to make comments about city matters or items on the agenda that are not part of a public hearing. We've spent a lot of time on budget this evening. Those are not going to be part of that public comment period, but if you wish to come forward to speak on any other subject or anything not on the agenda, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Again, the same rules apply. Time clock 5 minutes, no profanity, no personal attacks. With that being said, the podium is now open. No one coming forward, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there any member of the council who wishes to remove an item from the consent agenda? Mark? Randy? They're usually the ones that take something off the agenda. All right, with nothing else being removed, I will entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Baldwin, second Deaton, that we approve the consent agenda. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Consent agenda passes. All right, we have nothing for community recommendations, old business or new business, so our regular agenda is ended. Moving on to council updates. We front-loaded everything here today. Does staff have anything for council? I'm going to start with our Deputy City Administrator, Amy Nasta. Do we have anything?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
All right, Finance Director Wolf.
Just to give you a heads up, we received some comments on information people would like to see on budget or financial performance.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a look at that internally and see if we can get something. We have the budget document, which is a giant document that can be hard to digest, but has all the detail. We usually put out a budget infographic later on after the budget is approved.
Yes.
Which is a nice, quick look, but something a little bit more in between that has a little bit more detail than the infographic, but not as quite as dense as the actual budget book.
Okay, great. Well, I would look forward to something like that. Maybe even an interactive graphic with some links to it that you could then drill down into certain aspects of the budget, something like that.
Yeah, we'll take a look into that, and we're soliciting feedback also at the same time, so let us know.
Sure. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of feedback on that from folks around the community. So.
That's good.
All right, City Clerk, anything for us?
Nothing for me, thank you.
I believe we have a new CPA, Citizens Police Advisory Committee member. It's not on the actual consent agenda.
It's on the consent agenda.
Number 5.
Yes, it just says consider an appointment to that citizen. But the name?
Carrie Kruger.
Carrie Krieger. Okay, I wanted to give her acknowledgement. So Carrie is joining the Citizens Police Advisory Committee. Knocked it out of the park in the interview process. So really looking forward to having her input. So thank you. City Police Chief Belcher.
So just real quick update. Last meeting, we spoke a little bit about commercial vehicle certification with some of our officers. We've recently got notified from the Kansas Highway Patrol that we've secured 3 spots for officers in the winter class.
Excellent.
I think it's in February or March, so I believe we got 3 spots in that class. So we're able to get that accomplished. So I just wanted to follow up with you guys on that.
Congratulations on chasing that down because we had to fight for those slots. Thank you.
No, good job, Chief. I agree with you, Mayor.
Yeah, absolutely. Parks and Rec, Jason Bruce.
Yes, sir. 2 things. The Aquatic Center is officially closed for this season. I did want to recognize Jordan Lester, who oversees aquatics operations over there, and her pool managers, and lifeguards, and concession workers, facility attendants. It was a very tough year this year with staffing. They did a great job, and also to our park maintenance guys that really chased that pool break at the start of the season. It did wonders this year. So kudos to them and everything they did this year. And also this Friday, Saturday is our barbecue competition out at Celebration Park. Right now we're sitting at over 50 teams from 3 different states competing for a $10,500 purse. So weather looks great and we're looking forward to it. Yes, sir.
Yes, Randy.
What do craft and draft tickets look like? We have any for sale still?
Oh, yes.
Lots of them?
Last Friday, I want to say it was over 100 sold. So yes, we do have plenty for sale still.
Okay.
And those will stay on sale clear up till the day before the event.
Okay, I need to buy
Yeah,
numerous ones.
I think it might be good to get another blast out to the community on the Craft Wine and Beer Festival.
We're actually getting ready to send one this week.
Beautiful. That's great. I knew you and Tanika would be on top of that. So yeah, absolutely. The break situation. How did we have some good for the entire year? Did we see a lot of leakage or any leakage or minimal leakage?
Very minimal. Yeah, we have a couple of small repairs to do in the off season that those items were able to isolate, so it didn't affect the pool.
Okay. So we are, for the most part, out of the woods for a while.
Knock on wood, yes.
Okay, great. I cannot put into words how difficult I know that was and how you guys came through with that. So appreciate that. Thank you. All right, community development. Mr.
Yep.
Novick.
Tomorrow evening, we have the EDAC meeting, Economic Development Advisory Committee. We will be entertaining a presentation from the consultant doing the airport business and economic strategy. So that's 6 p.m. here at the council chambers. I know Mayor and Councilman Gorsuch will be here, and obviously our members. So we welcome the public to come and hear that presentation if they desire to do so. Other than that, I have nothing.
And that's a big, I mean, it's underrated. The presentation for tomorrow night is underrated. We want to look at ways to be able to leverage our airport property, and this will be a good way towards, a good start towards moving in that direction. So.
Yeah, I think the presentation will be two components to it. It'll be very similar to the first advisory committee meeting that the consultant held with their group there, primarily looking at strengths and weaknesses and opportunities with the airport property. So it should parallel that presentation and then basically a brainstorming session with whoever's in attendance.
Absolutely. Kellen, are you going to have a representative there too to discuss that? I know you manage the airport.
Yes, we'll have somebody there from
Great,
the
that's
public works side.
Thank you. Speaking of Kellen, you're next.
Nothing further from me tonight.
Okay, great. City Attorney.
Nothing from me.
All right, and City Administrator. Last but not least.
Just want to thank the governing body for working through the budget with us. I think where we ended up will help us in the years to come. We kind of set a baseline with this one because of Senate Bill 13 and what it required us to do, and I think we're in a good position going forward. So thank you.
I have to sign the budget paper for the state, so that's what was going on here. All right, does council have anything for staff? I'm going to start on my far right.
Okay,
all y'all-
I have something.
Tori, that's
I
awesome.
know. So,
Yes.
we've discussed it before. When you turn and go eastbound on Santa Fe, 175th Street onto 56 Main Street, you know where that turn is. And I know that I thought the developer, the contractor was not the developer. The contractor was going to rework it. Where are we with that? I've had some questions.
We've been getting pricing from a couple of different contractors. We're working on amending that into, I think we're going to put it into the Waverly contract, but I'm not
Okay.
for certain, so I'll get some
So
more
it's
detail.
still being worked on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are you talking about the bottleneck? The bottleneck?
Well, it's where you turn, and so
Yeah,
it's kind of a
that's-
sharp turn, and then people
Yeah.
drive over.
Yeah,
and
they
it's-
mess up the curb.
Yeah.
Concrete that in, I assume.
Yeah, we have a design to increase the radius on that and
Make it apron?
make it correct for turning trucks.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Good.
And we'll move the whole curb back, actually.
Okay.
Kind of similar to what it used to be before they curved it.
Yeah, and there's a light issue that we have to address too.
Okay, great. Anything else, Tori?
No, that's it. Thank you.
No problem. Councilman Gorsuch.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had one thing, and I'm going to piggyback on Chief Belcher. So I'm glad that we got 3 spots or slots to help us enforce truck traffic. I was contacted by a citizen, and I think I've spoke to this once before, but I went out and sat with him and had a cup of coffee, essentially, on north of Madison, northbound on Center Street. And we're looking west. So reached back out to him late last week, just to get a status, you know, because he's sitting out there kind of counting cars, if you will, and taking out the two companies that have trucks there on the corner of 167th and Center. He said that it's still pretty high from a truck traffic. Now, again, we've got some development going on in the northwest side. There seems to be rock trucks, dirt trucks, obviously concrete trucks to build foundations, et cetera. But I guess what I'm trying to get to, Chief, is how would we expect to see a change in that truck traffic on that thoroughfare? Because we kind of have it going on the south end. I know we've got signage forthcoming for 183rd East and West, and then we have trucks headed north. And they come back around, by the way. It's the same ones according to the tag number. So they head north with maybe they're full or not full, and then they come back the other way. But anyway, how would we expect to kind of handle that, and would these classes help us with that?
Well, they would. You know, when you're talking about a truck route violation, that's, you know, any officer can deal with that, not just a certified officer who does the inspections. Once the vehicle is stopped, those officers who are certified can then inspect the truck. Officers can make the stops on truck violations. So that, I guess, that's not an issue.
Okay.
For what we're saying. So it probably just sounds like you know, another area to add for some focused enforcement if we got some high numbers that may be happening over there, and we can do that.
Yeah.
And you've got a point there about the construction stuff. Construction trucks, we really can't do a lot about.
Yeah, we understand that.
I mean, we got three subdivisions going.
But I think your question was, you know, we have regular officers can make those non-truck route stops.
That's where I was
So they don't
going.
have to be a CVSA officer to
Okay.
make those stops.
Okay, so I'll
Violate the truck route.
Yes, sir. Or yes, Chief. I'll convey that, and I would appreciate you doing the same with your team. Last question, same topic. Do we need to buy more hardware for the CVA officers to weigh those trucks with mobile scales, or how does that work?
So right now we have the vehicle that does the inspections, and we've got a quote on some additional scales that would give us 2 vehicles, but right now we just don't have the people to put them in.
That's a whole nother discussion.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I'll convey that to the citizen, and I know there's a lot of them out there that I haven't talked to. Maybe some of these folks up here have, but it is an issue. We know it's going to become an issue as, you know, things open back up, et cetera, and we're doing our best, if you will. I just don't want to see any kids hit, especially down on Cherokee, because there's that city pool there on the corner, and we had some knucklehead turn around in a residential area with his 52-footer. Yeah, so I mean, it happens, and we just have to react to it. Whether we were, you know, fully loaded with police officers or short a couple, we're not a policing city, so we have to react to that nonetheless. So I appreciate it, Chief.
And we are revisiting that plan, and Kellen is working with the public works directors from the county and from Edgerton we have them working on it, so we take the political motivations out of it, and they're looking at how we can route trucks all through the area. So, and then the next step to that, if we can come to an agreement, is to work with the GPS companies and try to get traction there, and just try to have a working group going forward so we can deal with this once and for all.
And that's the regional committee?
Yeah, it's the Southwest Johnson County Area Plan. We had the task force, and we met, and there was a lot of discussion. You know, Don was there, and Bethlen was there, and people from the county. There's about 12, 15 people there, and we got caught up in the same loop. So Kellen and his counterparts are going to try to get us to a point where we can sit down and have some discussions based on what's best for all the communities versus, you know, the zero-sum game. So.
No, that's a great stance to take, and I hope that it sprouts wings and flies, because that's what we need.
Well, one thing also, Kellen and I visited, which would be a great help to him, is something we're going to try to incorporate when our officers are visiting with these truck drivers that are off route. How did you get here? You know, was it a GPS issue? Was it I just made a wrong turn issue? So then we can, you know, have those conversations, you know, return that information to Kellen, so that will hopefully help him, but, you know, especially if we have GPS issues.
And ideally, if you had a truck and you could enter into GPS, hey, I'm driving a truck,
Yeah.
So it's just taking them like it would any other vehicle, Prius or an 18-wheeler, doesn't matter. It's gonna take them the same route, or identify the same route.
But there
Yeah.
are moves that are happening now with the GPS companies where they're trying to create that differentiation. They have some
Actually,
pilot programs.
The trucking industry is trying to
Yep.
identify that, yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I think that goes back to tickets. I mean, they don't want to pay all those heavy fines or
Yep.
damage or hurt somebody. I had one more question on that same topic, and it eludes me. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, well, we'll come back to you if you remember, just appreciate it. All right, Casey, Councilwoman Deagle.
Nothing other than the CPAC meeting is on Monday the 13th.
Okay, great. Council Vice President.
Kellen, what's our time frame on Waverly getting down to Blazer Drive, 172nd Terrace?
I'll have to look at the schedule specifically and I'll provide an update.
Okay, great, thank you.
Are we seeing any kind of weather-related delays on that project, or is it just we got started late because of the right-of-way issues?
No weather delays at this point.
Yeah.
It's been moving along schedule pretty well.
All right, are we going to be able to make up some time on that, possibly?
It's possible.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I know we got behind because of the right-of-way issues.
Well, actually, we started the project before we had secured right away for the school district,
Yep.
anticipating we would get it. It was more the redesign of Madison Waverly that put us off schedule.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that missing roundabout.
2 month delay over that. So I just wanted to make folks aware of that, because I think there was some discussions on some online forums about how the city was so far behind on the project. And it was coming from certain interests that were involved in that whole discussion about the roundabout, so.
Actually, Danica got a number of questions from a student
Mhm.
that works at the newspaper about that
Yes.
very thing.
Yes, exactly.
Basically, why did you guys mess this up?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were on track. We'll move on. Okay, Council President.
Yeah, so moving on, similar topic though. Maybe for the 56 highway, saw some bad news in our council updates on that.
Yes.
Again, maybe we can clarify for the record, what the situation is and where we're gonna be with it.
So Kellen and I went over that today. I looked at the 3 schedules that we have for this year, and every delay that we have is the result of somebody other than us. I mean, it was the right-of-way issues we started as soon as we possibly could, and the condemnation we started probably earlier than what a lot of people wanted, but we just got those done. What we didn't anticipate with the October letting is that it would take them 2 months to draw up the contract, which is, and then they give them a month to start. So we're talking about potentially into January, or if, weather's a hindrance, it could be February.
The question that I had for you earlier still stands, and that is, what is the situation with the local funds that we paid to get this project moved into 2021 calendar year? Are we going to get some of that back because they blew the deadlines?
We're looking into it.
Yeah.
Because the original letting was December of 2020.
Yeah.
And then it got pushed to February, and then it got pushed to May, and then it just kept.
Then August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So part of the issue was that they would not let the project until all the right-of-way was secured, even though the process that, we knew when we were going to get it. We knew in August, but they would not let the project until we had all the paperwork submitted to them.
Even though they phased the project to start from west to east, and they wouldn't even need that land until like later on. So it's been a mess.
Yeah. Just wanted to clarify that, because I get the question all the time, why hasn't the city fixed Main Street yet?
Yeah. Pothole City. Get that over again. All right, well, I've said my piece. Thank you very, very much to the finance staff. Job well done on the budget. Job well done on the pool season. Now we're getting ready for fall sports out there. It starts this weekend. We've got some barbecue. Go out there and at least smell want to go smell things out there, it's going to be really good for the nose. And no, hey, it's not just because it's next to a pasture, but I mean, it's, it'll actually be good smells out there. Anyway, I'll end now. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion Gregorczyk, second Baldwin, that we adjourn. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, any abstentions? We are out of here.